It is November 19th, 2025. It is 9:42 p.m. and I'm up almost 7% today, 6.92 as of right now. And basically for the week, I am now down only 6.02%. And if we switch over to the month, 6.6 basically. 3 months, slightly above 10%. Year to date, 112. Year over year, 123. And then, of course, of all time, 425. And it really started to pop off after hours, most likely due to the NVIDIA earnings. But we have two top movers here. We have Lemonade up almost 8.5%. Same for Robinhood. So it really does seem like NVIDIA is a big part of market sentiment, which is no surprise. Basically, everybody on X had the NVIDIA earnings like under a microscope. So definitely played a key part in today's market sentiment. But now if we take a look at my portfolio, nothing much has changed too much other than Robinhood, Palantir being up a lot, SoFi, of course. If we take a look at my recent transactions, I did go ahead and close my Target cash secured put. Even though Target was down on earnings release, I still managed to come out at a profit of almost $230, most likely due to the premiums just being very, very high, and the move of Target wasn't as big as the market thought it was going to be, or the options market thought it was going to be. So I did manage to eke out a profit even though Target went down, which is surprising. But it was a very short expiration. The premiums were only high because of earnings. And then, of course, earnings happened. Stock went down, but it didn't go down more than the value of the option, right? So I still managed to eke out a profit. But I also deposited some cash back from my Robinhood Gold card, about $20. Of course, they got the 3% cash back match, or the 3% match on IRA deposits. So ended up being $20.60. And of course, I got a little bit of dividends on the way, Win and PayPal, about $14.42 coming in from PayPal. One of the things I saw a lot of on X today was actually this talk about the AI bubble, right? And there's this clip from Autism Capital talking about, or he's posting a clip of Elon saying he doesn't remember if it's megawatts, gigawatts. He says it's going to be like $8 bazillion trillion, and he's just joking around because a lot of companies, a lot of big tech companies are investing heavily into AI infrastructure, right? So he's kind of joking around with that. Jensen's over on the side. He's like, stop that. So it's kind of a funny moment, but people are just saying that, all this joking around, people not really taking this as seriously. I mean, this is Elon's thing. Anybody that has been watching Elon for a long time now knows that he jokes around all the time. But people are using this clip saying, see, this is the AI bubble. People are joking around about spending so much money over something that is just going to end up popping in the end. Something else that I saw on X was this post from Michael Burry, of course, the famous Big Short Michael Burry. He's posted this chart that has gone viral. Of course, it's been viral for a long time now. But it's about how all of these AI companies are just putting money into each other to help out with numbers, revenue, market cap, etc. And even Bloomberg was talking about it today on the news. So it's just reinforcing this bias that everybody has that AI is in a bubble right now. And in my opinion, I don't really know. I think there's definitely a lot of FOMO involved, right? A lot of people, a lot of companies getting bought out, making hefty investments into infrastructure that we don't really know yet if it's going to pay off. And of course, all the talk about depreciation, right? If companies buy NVIDIA chips and they're depreciating it, but they have to upgrade every single year, right? But depreciate it over 3 to 5 years, whatever. Like, how does that work? It's going to take a hit on earnings, blah, blah, blah. So if this AI quote unquote bubble does burst, obviously it'll hit hard. Mostly companies like NVIDIA, AMD, PayPal, or maybe not PayPal. I mean, it's still a financial transactions company, but it'll definitely hit Palantir, possibly Robinhood, because all of these companies associated with AI have gone up a lot in market cap, lots of money sloshing around, which helps Robinhood's numbers because that means more deposits and more assets under management. Retail tends to invest heavily in technology and AI, so it increases their assets under management. And of course, Robinhood's market cap itself, the value of their stock, would take a hit if this bubble pops. Something like PayPal that's already been down for such a long time might not be as affected, right? I mean, PayPal could still dip to the 50s, but I think it would hurt a company like Robinhood a bit more because it's gone up so much in value. And now it is time to react to some of your guys' comments on my previous video. And I actually did get a decent amount, about 8 comments on my last video. But we actually have some hefty ones. But first we have Carl, longtime viewer of the channel, one of my first comments on the video. But we have TDTY saying, for someone with 1,500 shares of Hood, I almost never hear you say anything good about Hood. I have almost 1,500 right now, and I find new ways to be even more bullish on Hood daily. I've watched a lot of your vids, and you constantly seem negative towards Hood, whether it be about the future, other brokers, growth, or whatever else. Seems you should sell, maybe sell, since your conviction seems weak in my opinion. Also, I was feeling down about my covered call premiums since they've been pretty dry, but I was able to pull what you made in the month in only 2 weeks. Not trying to brag, I'm just saying I shouldn't be so hard on myself since everybody holding long is down right now. So lots of thoughts regarding your comments, which is natural because it's very long. And I appreciate this, by the way. It's a very detailed and long comment, which makes it a lot more interesting to react to. In terms of me being bullish or bearish on Hood, I mean, anybody that has actually been watching my videos for a long time now, and when I say actually watch it, I mean like thoroughly watch all of my videos, they will know that I've been saying bullish and bearish things about Robinhood, right? I don't really like to get caught up in the hype. I just like to be very neutral and be very critical in order to improve the company. I mean, I post videos all the time talking about like new features that I would like to see on Robinhood, some things that I think could negatively impact Robinhood. And I say these things so that if somebody that works at Robinhood is actually watching it, hopefully like they'll keep it in the back of their head. But I'm sure I've said a lot of great things about Robinhood. One of the things is the gold card, right? The 3% cash back. And then if you deposit it into your Roth IRA, you get a 3% boost on top of that 3% cash back. So that doesn't mean 6%. It's, 3% on that very small 3% cash back you got on the credit card, right? So it ends up being like, correct my math if I'm wrong, but 3.03% cash back, which is pretty good. And I've given them a lot of props on it. And I've also said great things about the features of the Robinhood Gold Card, how you can create multiple virtual credit cards. You can create that 24-hour card for the trials that people sign up for that are so annoying. You can create a John Doe or a Jane Doe card if you want to, I guess, conceal your name on a certain purchase, right, to protect yourself. So they've made a lot of great improvements to the credit card industry and really set the bar high in terms of privacy, features, cashback rewards, the presentation of that gold card, right? Whenever I hold my Amex Gold Card and the Robinhood Gold Card, you can really feel the quality difference. I mean, both of them have some metal in it, obviously, but I think the Amex card is a little bit more plastic in that card. So it ends up like feeling a little bit lower quality, even though it's the Amex Gold Card, one of the most premium cards in the market, right? And obviously, the feel of the card isn't the most important thing. Like the most important thing is obviously the features and the value that it gives gold members. So I've said a lot of great things about that. And even back when Robinhood was $10 a share, and I was in some of my earlier videos, obviously, I was saying a lot of good things about it when the entire market was bearish on it. People were clowning them. They were still talking about the whole GME, the AMC drama. People are still, or back then, people were still dogging on it on X. And I would always defend them. I would always throw up the numbers, fundamentals, technicals, everything. I would always defend Robinhood, right? But that doesn't mean I'm going to defend Robinhood as it's making its way to like $150, $160 a share, right? When I think the market is getting a little bit bubbly, and people are now super bullish and FOMOing on social media over Robinhood stock. People are saying they're going to buy it at 130 and whatever. So one thing you will notice about me is whenever there's a stock that's down and out and I think it's a good company, I will defend it and say good things about it. But as that company is getting like to I guess, bubble levels, even though that's not what people want to hear. I tend to be a little bit more critical in order to keep that train going, right? For example, the tokenization of real estate and assets on Robinhood. I think it's a great thing and it's going to lower their cost, but we still need to make sure that we have ownership and we have access to dividends and anything else that the company directly gives shareholders. So I think it is very important to be critical of companies that you hold instead of just blindly defending them. And honestly, you shouldn't feel bad if a company goes down or your brokerage account goes down, and go towards or look towards social media to find people that speak bullishly on your stock in order to feel better about your investment, because that's how you start getting into the bag holder mentality, right? I guarantee you there are still people out there that are bag holding GameStop and AMC, hoping and praying that it goes up. And possibly one of the reasons why they keep holding on to it is because they only listen to the bullish news, right? They only want people to say good things about the company that they hold. Another great example of this is tax lots. For the longest time, Robinhood never had tax lots, but people kept complaining about it, which is why they finally put tax lots on the app, right? So you have to be critical of these things in order to get the ball rolling. And I'm sure back then, I was talking about how other brokerages like Schwab and Fidelity, they already had tax lots, blah blah blah, and you could have said that I was bearish on it, and I guess I could have sold Robinhood at like $80 back when I was like begging them to release tax lots, but that would have been a mistake. So just because I'm critical of my stock doesn't mean I'm going to sell it. And in terms of your comment about covered calls and making more than me in 2 weeks, whatever, if you paid attention to the types of covered calls that I was selling a little bit more out of the money and quote unquote safer covered calls, even though it could have easily hit 170 and I could have easily gotten all my shares called away. I still preferred to sell more out of the money covered calls because I want to be a long-term shareholder. Like Robinhood being my number one stock, I need to hedge and be a little bit more responsible and pull a little bit of money out of it. But I also don't want to sell out of Robinhood, which is why I was not as aggressive as I could have been, right? I have 1,500 shares, but I only put 600, 700 shares up for collateral, very deep out of the money covered calls, and I only made $3,000, right? I could have easily sold 15 covered calls all at $1,000. That would have been 15 grand, and then all of them would have expired worthless, and I would have made 15K. Obviously, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but in the heat of the moment, when Robinhood is tagging 150, 155, whatever, it feels uneasy to do it. And like I said, Robinhood could have easily tagged 180. So even though you pulled 15K in premiums, you still missed out on so much upside, right? So obviously in hindsight, it's easy to say I should have done this and that, or I could have made 15 grand in 1 week, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you just got to make moves aligned with what your goals are instead of what other people are doing or what could have happened. And in regards to your comment about weak conviction, if my conviction would have been weak, I would have done something similar to what I did with Palantir, right? Palantir, I only bought 200 shares, mostly because I was much more bullish on Robinhood than I was Palantir, mostly because I understood Robinhood a lot more. But as of right now, all of my shares for Palantir are up for collateral. All of them are most likely going to get called away unless we get some ridiculous crash. So like I said before, I would have, if my conviction was weak, I would have done something along the lines of selling at the money or deep in the money covered calls, collected 15 to 20K in option premium expiring in 1 week. And then, last week the market was down, whatever. So it most likely would have expired worthless. And I would be making a video and bragging to everybody on social media about how I made 15K in 1 week. But that doesn't align with my long-term goals of being a long-term Robinhood shareholder. So just because I think a stock is overbought or the market is getting a little bit overheated or people are FOMOing doesn't mean that my conviction is weak. It just means that I'm a little bit more cautious. But very thorough, deep, very long comment that you posted on my previous video. I appreciate that. So, it really gives me something to talk about in my videos, and hopefully something that I said helped you out, TDTY. But we have not financial advice that says, I'm starting to look like a brokey. Okay, whatever. How much margin? About like 70K, I think, 70 to 80. So I'm still hovering around the same amount, but most of that was like cash secured put premiums or like cash secured put collateral. So I didn't really pay interest on it. But we have Eric that says, yeah, good questions regarding credit cards. Not sure how that will play out, but I suspect that it's an even bigger case for something like crypto. All of those high reward credit cards have to compete with some of those crazy crypto rewards cards. Also, retailers should be even more incentivized to allow crypto payments since the cost to them is essentially zero. Which, for anybody that hasn't seen my previous video, this is regarding Visa and MasterCard allowing retailers to pick and choose which cards to not allow. So for example, the Robinhood Gold card is a Visa card, but that specific card might not be allowed in certain locations while other Visa cards are still allowed. And it's something that could possibly happen, but Eric makes a good point stating that it does make an even bigger case for something like crypto because crypto is very low cost, right? Some of these transactions are like 1 to 3% for the credit card fees. And then if you have something like Apple Pay or PayPal on top of that, it's even more fees, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think PayPal buy now, pay later fee is like 5%, which is crazy in my opinion. So if we do see a future where certain credit cards get banned and it makes them a lot less usable, right? They become less popular because people are just so annoyed with not knowing which retailers are going to allow what. And they have to keep track of, oh, whenever I'm at this store, I have to make sure to not pay with this because they're not going to allow it, blah, blah, blah. It becomes a headache, right? So that possibly is good news for a company like PayPal that has their own stable coin, very low cost, right? You can transact very easily and then you can earn rewards in the PayPal app, right? So right now they have a bonus. It's like 20% cash back for any buy now, pay later. They can do a lot of in-app promotions to help bring in those credit card users that are used to high rewards but aren't getting them anymore. So potentially we could see some market share being taken by PayPal. But you do make a good point, Eric, saying that it does make a bigger case for something like crypto. But you have to be careful about which types of crypto companies are going to allow you to pay in, because cryptos that are very volatile and fluctuate in price, like Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, I don't really see a future where companies will transact in them, because even though the cost is lower, if Bitcoin goes down 5% that day, it's almost the same as eating a 5% fee on a transaction, right? So I think, obviously I can't speak for every merchant, but if you told a merchant, hey, you can either accept this credit card and it has a 3% fee you're gonna have to pay, or you can accept Bitcoin, which has no cost, but it could go up and down at 3%. I think a lot of merchants are still gonna stick with that 3% credit card just because that's what they know and they can actually plan and budget around it. But definitely stable coins like the one PayPal has potentially could see a lot more usage, and the PayPal app itself could definitely see a lot more usage if credit card rewards start going down, or some specific credit cards start getting banned. And we have Luke Cameron that says, I haven't left, we still chugging along, homie, both of our portfolios in bear markets. And I do think there's possibility of an end of year, I guess like Santa rally that most people expect. But who knows, at this point, anything could happen end of year. And you also say that you never liked Chegg. But I'm not going to lie, Chegg sometimes came in clutch when I was in school.